All right, guys, welcome back to another episode Up and Running. Thanks for watching. All right, we're going to get back to work on the old F100. I hope you enjoy it. All right, the moment of truth. What color are the wheels? They are painted body color, so they're the same color as the truck. I think with the new caps that we got and the beauty rings and that, this is gonna look awesome. So I can't wait to see them all together and on the truck. All right, so here's a little quick shot of what this is gonna look like. I like that a lot. That looks amazing. It's still in the shade right now, so it's not completely popping, but I'll give you a final shot of it when it's all on the truck and it's out in the sun and everything like that.
I gotta do the other compound now.
I can't wait to see this truck outside. This color is really gonna pop. The lights in here don't do it justice. I think when we get this truck outside, it is just gonna be like, wow. All right, there it is. That's what it's gonna look like on the truck. I think that looks pretty good. The owner's going for a stock look on it, so that I think that fits the bill. All right, so I know somebody's going to comment on the location of this custom emblem and say, "Hey, that emblem is not supposed to go there." Well, when we first got this truck in and we were going to do it, we were trying to figure out what the holes were for in that fender. So both front fenders, we could tell from the paint that they were the factory fenders for this truck, and they had a series of holes in them. And I had never seen anything on the front fender like that before, and so I started doing a little research, and I found that on the regular pickups, this is obviously a step side, but on the regular pickups, if it was the custom model truck, right back in here, in that area, is where the custom emblem was. Well, on these trucks, the side walls are just one piece of metal thick. It's not a double wall, pickup bed. So if they'd have drilled holes in there and put an emblem in there, you would have had bolts sticking out, inside the bed. So they didn't want to put them there. So on the step sides that were customs, they went on the front fenders. And I mean, like I said, the holes were in the fenders, stamped from the factory, and that's where they go on these trucks. It is rare to find a custom that is a step side. Most of the step sides are, a higher model truck. So they would not have had, that emblem right there. So that's what I know. If you know any information about it or any more information, put it down in the comments. I'd love to hear it. But that was just, what I found on that, to figure out what went in those factory stamped holes. All right, we got one of the door panel setups all done. That looks fantastic. All right, it's really close to being done. We're gonna back it outside and take a look at it. Oh, she lit right up. Wow. That looks good. Go back just a little more. The front's in the shade.
The parking brake should work.
Pardon?
The parking brake, it should work.
Yeah, that box with the door needs to be bumped again. It's not even close.
Yeah, we're out here kind of trying to find all the little, forgot to do that little spot, this little spot kind of thing. We've got a couple little things to do yet on it, but for the most part, it's ready to go. It needs to get all cleaned up and everything yet, but it's for the most part all done. Nice. So the story on the center caps right there are that they were in a Ford engineer's office for years and years and years, and you know, I don't know if he retired or what the case was, but they ended up selling them, so they're in really good shape. All right, we're gonna take this down to get gas. Hey, Will, can you move that mirror down a little bit? Adjust the mirrors right away.
Just give me a thumbs up.
Now go out. Now up a little bit. In just a little bit. Ooh. In just a little bit more. Perfect. Thank you. All right, here we go. I'm gonna try really hard not to hit anything. We're gonna try. It doesn't mean we're not going to, but no, we're not gonna hit anything. Radio's working. Steering wheel's off a little bit. Shift's nice and smooth. Speedometer works. Runs pretty good, really. Go down into third. Pulls good. Check the brakes. Brakes work. Stops fairly straight. Pulls to the left, maybe just a tiny bit. Mustang over there, so 65. Like the gauges work. Made it to the gas station in one piece. I'm gonna fill it up. All right, so we got to replace the turn signal switch in this truck. There it is right there on the left. Oh, having trouble focusing. There it is on the left. All right, we snipped the end off. We're gonna pull wires down through. We're gonna attach the new wires onto this before we pull it through, but we got to go down. The plug is down under the dash. You're starting to pull on them up here.
Okay, I'm gonna slide them back up in a second.
Yeah, it turns out you can blow the horn from down there if you ground it.
Yeah.
All right, so we ran a wire down through the column when we pulled the old wires out, and we're gonna connect the new wires to the piece of wire that we have here, and then feed that down through the column.
Goes in like that. We're gonna shut the camera off if it gets stuck.
All right, we got all the wires down the column. That was not a small feat, but we got it done. So now we're just putting the top of this back together.
And of course, this is clocked.
Will's down there trying to dig the plug out. It's back in there somewhere, but we cannot seem to find it.
I think that is zip tied to it right there. Found a zip tie.
It was zip tied.
Zip tie's cut.
All right, there it is.
It was just zip tied to it.
All right, well, there we go.
It
wasn't a mystery plug. It was just hiding.
Yep, it was that plug y'all were looking at.
All right,
Okay.
cool. We got it. All right, we got all the wiring done. So now we're gonna see if everything works. We had a blown fuse from the bad switch, so we're grabbing a fuse and we'll get that taken care of. So something we discovered on the truck is it definitely needs a new clutch. It's got a lot of chatter, so we're going ahead and pulling the clutch out of this. Right now we couldn't get the speedometer gear out of the transmission. We're not sure why, so we had to pull the tail shaft off.
I hold it there. You got your light. I just want to see if I see something. All right, now slowly pull it out.
What?
You man.
Of course, it comes right out as soon as we take the tail shaft off.
There's a little plastic or metal band on it.
Well, that's the clip that holds the plastic gear onto the.
Yeah, I don't think
It's
that.
a little bigger though, so it might
Might
have
have hooked.
fallen.
Oh, it might. Yeah, it might have caught on the.
And
That's
it's
why
just
it wouldn't
catching.
come off. Huh?
Oh, it's just gonna... I guess you got it.
Alrighty then.
There it is. That's transmission out. Now we just got to take the clutch out.
Alright, let's get this cleaned up so we don't get
Wrap it.
over.
Oh, it's gonna be a tight fit. Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna get it up this time.
What about if you lift up and pull the bottom out?
Oh yeah.
There you go. Boom, shakalaka.
There she is. That's a big one.
Yeah. Yeah, we were getting an awful chatter out of this when we drove it. It was something we kind of knew about right away as well, but so we're going ahead and putting a new clutch in it right away just so the customer doesn't have any issues.
There she went. Okay.
Well, you've done one before. You weren't expecting that, were you?
The clutch itself doesn't look horrible, but the I don't think they did the bearing whenever it was done last, because the bearing is just terrible. All right, got the flywheel on, got that machine, so we're got to put a bearing in there and then get the transmission back in. Clutch is going in. All right, now we got everything back in. Hopefully it's good to go. I'll have to take it for a ride and see what happens. Hopefully it doesn't shake when you let the clutch out. All right, so here's the pilot bearing. Might have just been a little bit bad. I'm not sure, I'm no expert on that, but I'm thinking bearings are supposed to be nice and snug. All right, right now the alternator is not charging, so we're just doing a little testing to try to figure out why. So that's why the wiring looks like such a disaster right now. We're testing everything to see why it's not working. We're starting to get it figured out. So hopefully in another few minutes, the alternator will charge again. All right, so it appears this carb is leaking internally. I'm having a little trouble tuning it. It's been off for several minutes now and it's still kind of smoking. So it's gotta be leaking internally. So we're gonna have to rebuild this. All right, so I'll tell you guys kind of a funny little story. So yesterday, the idle on this thing was a little bit high, and so I was going to turn the idle down a little bit and get it to where it needed to be. And what I discovered is that the idle screw was out all the way already. So I thought I'll just give it a little quick tune-up, you know, just check the adjustment on the carb, check the timing, you know, that kind of stuff. And everything was going along just fine. I had real good vacuum, you know, it coming from the engine. I was just kind of getting the final tune set up, and then all of a sudden I noticed that this thing started running worse and worse, and I was losing vacuum, and I was like, what the heck am I doing wrong? And then all of a sudden I noticed, if you look down here, the carburetor is leaking. It started dripping internally in the carburetor, which was screwing everything up. I was kind of tearing my hair out. I couldn't figure out why, you know, all my adjustments were sending everything all kittywampus. So we're gonna get that carburetor rebuilt and cure that problem. It just goes to show what happens when a vehicle sits, because this truck sat for decades really unused. And as soon as you get them up and running, you know, things start to go bad, and you know, you end up having more and more problems with them. So if you guys ever are working on cars that have sat for a long period of time, you got to expect stuff like that. You know, like water pumps, they may not leak when you first fire them up, but after, you know, 10, 20, 100 miles, they'll start leaking because, you know, all those seals and everything are dried out. And all of a sudden you start to put some heat in them and some cycles, and you flex them, and you know, whatever the case may be, all of a sudden they will start leaking. So you got to expect that. All right, we're just doing some last touches on the charging system. We got the new carb put on. The truck is running great. I tuned it up, got the timing set the carb, all that fun stuff. So getting closer, keep scratching things off the list. So we ended up with about 22 inches of mercury for vacuum on this engine, which is fantastic. You can see this engine doesn't move one bit when it's running. It is just perfectly smooth. So I'm excited about that. They did a great job on the carb. It was basically ready to go. The carb place that we go has an engine. If you want, they can they'll test run the carb before you get it back from them, so that way they kind of set it up. We didn't do that. I just set it up using the vacuum gauge, and it's working great. So we've got just a hint of a wiring gremlin going on. It seems like we're missing a ground up underneath the dash somewhere. I don't know if you can see it, but the alternator light has just got a hint of glow, and the brake light won't shut off.
The purple one. Can you find the purple one where it goes? Because the signal wire is
I think there you could see that light was on. It just went off now. When we put a ground to it, all the lights did what they were supposed to. So we're sorting that out right now.
See, this body should be grounded.
All right, I'm taking it on the final voyage to see if there's anything else that we need to do. I got just a hair of a clutch chatter right there. Oh, feel a little burnout right there. Okay, we gotta fix the steering wheel yet. It's a little crooked yet, so we gotta do that. Alright, well, let's see what else. See, the brakes feel real good. It shifts real smooth. Yeah, that one time the clutch was pretty smooth. Alright, we're back on the highway. Sorry if there's a little wind noise. See if we can get her up to 60. There we go, that's 60. The temp looks good. There's still some gas in it. The other lights are not on. got the alignment done, so it should. So we're gonna have to straighten out that steering wheel. I have just a hint of a vibration in it. We may need to get the tires balanced. But we marked them. We took them off the rims and marked them and put everything back on in the same spot. But it could be that, you know, something wasn't right to begin with. We never had a chance to drive this truck before we took it all apart. So there could have been something that existed before. This truck on another last voyage. I straightened out the steering wheel. I got to put the knob on yet, or the horn button, but I just want to make sure that it's you know, the steering wheel's on straight. Right now I think it's on pretty good. You know, with these old vehicles, you move the steering wheel a little more, so you got to kind of average it out. But so far, the changes that I made, I tightened up the wheel bearings. They were a little loose. Somebody had greased them, but they didn't quite tighten them enough. Right now the truck's driving fantastic. Good now. I don't have any shake, so I think putting that tire in the back made that better. So I think we're good. Alright, so we're heading back to the shop right now, and we'll get this thing all cleaned up. Real happy with the steering wheel. That's in like the perfect position right now. Made her back. There she is. Boom. All right, we're getting the truck all shined up so the unsuspecting owner can get it. I know he'll be excited. Got Will doing a little final polishing on it. Look at the gloss. Woo! It's a shame that the reflection is Will's face.
Oh, it looks good though.
That looks awesome.
I haven't done the fender yet, so.
All right, so here it is, all done, all cleaned up. I think Will's just about basically done with it. And let's take a walk around of it. This thing is so cool. I mean, I guess partially I say that because I worked on it a bunch, but I mean, it's a nice truck. It really is. I like this body style of Ford's quite a bit, and you never really see the long bed step sides. That's a pretty rare option. Let's open the door, take a look inside. The good thing is this truck started out as a super solid truck. We really had very little rust repair to do on it. There were a few things, but for the most part, it was super solid. It's gonna be in the shade on this side, but looks a lot like the passenger side. I'm really glad we went with those wheels and hubcaps and beauty rings. I think they look great on this truck. You know, nothing too flashy because the truck's a little bit subdued. Shuts the doors shut like they're brand new. All right, well that is going to wrap up the 1970 Ford F100. I hope you enjoyed it. I know I did. I enjoyed working on it. It was a lot of fun, a lot of work. A lot of fun. I can't even tell you how many tons and tons of hours we have in this truck. But it's done. Looks awesome. So I hope you enjoyed it. All right. So the day came for us to deliver the truck. The owner of this truck has had this truck probably since like the late 70s, early 80s, and his dad had it before him. So it's been in the family a really long time. He was getting this truck as a gift from his wife, you know, being all redone, all repainted, and he had no idea any of this stuff was going on. So this was a complete surprise to him. So the real bummer is that we had to tell him that he couldn't take the truck with him that day because we had to get the rear end rebuilt. That was the noise that I was referring to in the video. The rear end was starting to howl. It didn't do it at first when we first started driving it, but it started, you know, as time went on, as we drove it a little more. So we wanted to get that taken care of for him so he could drive it. So anyway, that was a huge bummer. It was pouring rain that day anyway, so it probably would have been the best day to take it anyway. But anyway, we're going to get that rear end taken care of for him so he can drive it. All right, so he's here to pick the truck up. He has no idea. He thinks he's just coming to pick Jake up.
And then let me do this last thing for Ed, and then I can go.
Hey, good morning. How's it going? That's something, isn't it?
Hopefully the truck lasts as long as that plastic does. I think it's back. There's. There we go. That's. Son of a gun. Look at what we have been through.
So did you have any idea anything was happening?
No, son just told me we need to drop something off here for Ed and drive her to the clinic. Yes. That is crazy. Radio works, AC works. No way. Yeah. It's got an AC. Yeah, it's got an AC in it now. Am I shutting that on? Yep. Okay, there we go.
Weather stripping's a little fresh yet.
Just need to shut it for me. This one doesn't have a hood latch, it's on the front.
Yeah, you just got to reach in. Straight.
Even know it's your truck. One thing, be careful when you lift it. This is very sensitive, so make sure you get underneath. Yeah, right here. See this lip? Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I still remember where the latch was. Yeah, and it's got an AC. It's never had that before. Radio works too. And the radio's one of the retro ones, so you can hook your phone up to it and everything, and play your music off the dash. Does it still have the front plate where I fixed it with JB Wells so many years ago? I'm sure they fixed that.
I don't think so.
Oh, you son of a gun. Remember I told you about when the distributor came apart and I was in the middle of nowhere? don't remember that one. Yeah, I'll have to tell you about that. Well, it's here, and we gotta have the rear end rebuilt. It's one, and that's why I was doing that shoveling when I was trying to pull it out. But after that, it's good to go.
That is awesome. Thank y'all so much. You like that little buddy? Look at you grinning. Look at you grinning. Oh, that was in a long time.
All right, so the rear end is making a lot of noise in this truck, so we are going to go ahead and replace that right away. Get that all fixed up. Got it marked to send off to have it all rebuilt, and there appears to be just a little bit of a leak right there, so we're going to have that fixed as well, and get this put back in, and hopefully we'll be in good shape with it then. So I'm right in the middle of pulling it out now, and I'll shoot a little more video later on. All right, so there's one clamp on each side that's just like a couple threads on, and at that point we can lower it out. Theoretically, we'll see if there's anything else I missed.
Out. You had lock washers?
No,
Oh, I thought I saw a lock washer.
no. Down and out. In case you wonder what a F100 looks like with the rear axle out of it, just sitting on a couple of dollies. It's nice and low, it's all slammed in the back. All right, so we just lifted the rear end up in here, and I just put these pieces on just so it wouldn't fall. So now I've just got to jack it up and get it firmly into place, and then we can tighten all the U-bolts down, and then I can do the rest of the fun stuff. All right, I'm going to tighten the bolts up for the shocks. All right, shocks are reinstalled. Now I'm going to have to work on the brakes and put the drive shaft in, and then some oil. We'll put oil in it since it's fresh. If it wasn't a fresh rear end build, I wouldn't put oil in it. All right, so something I just noticed is that this is the emergency brake hole, and it is supposed to come in through here. So when they assembled this rear end, they put the backing plates on the wrong side. They flipped them. So I've got to take the axles out and flop these around. All right, so if you don't know how these 9-inch Fords work, there's 4 bolts, 2 on each side here. You come in through this hole to take that bolt off, and then the axle slides out. So that's the way I'm going to have to pull that out. I'm going to have to pull both axles out. I'm going to have to redo the wheel cylinders. They got to be flipped around, and then we can continue putting the brakes together. All right, so I took the 4 bolts out. Now this axle should just slide out with the backing plate. There we go. All right, this side's done. Now I just have to go do the other side and then swap the backing plates over. All right, let's get this one out now. And I try to lift those the shaft when I pull them out so it doesn't damage the seal. All right. Again, I try to lift this as much as I can so I don't hurt the seal. And you just got to get it to engage. There we go. Into the center section here. Okay, that's on. Now we put the nuts on and then tighten it back up. All right, there we go. Got the brakes all put together. Now I got to put the drums on it and then go ahead and adjust them so there's just a little bit of drag. And because if you have them too loose, you get a ton of travel, pedal travel. So you got to adjust these so there's just a little bit, so the drum is basically just touching the brake shoe. All right, the rear end rebuilder gave us this oil to put in, so that is what we are going to use. I'm going to see if I can't make a mess doing this. Hopefully I can. I'm not squeezing the tar out of the bag so it blows something out and I get a big dump of the oil. Just easing it in. All right, we got everything put back together. You always want to make sure to look at the U-joints to make sure they're sitting in the rear end yoke exactly the way they're supposed to be. So these look good, the bolts are tight, and so now we're just going to put it down, top off the brake fluid, and take it for a drive and see how it goes. I'm sure it'll be just fine. Well, the brakes work there. Oh, get a little burnout right there in the gravel. The good thing is I don't hear any rear end noise, so that's good. I know we're going kind of slow, but I just want to take it easy first and kind of absorb it all. Get it warmed up. Alright, the good news is I don't hear any of that howling we were getting from the rear end. We're dodging bags of trash in the road. Here's another one right up here. They appear to be just leaves, so that's good, but we're going to drive around them and not mow it over. I think we're good. This is, it feels good. It's not making noise. All right, looks like we are going to make it back. Woohoo! All right, guys, that's going to wrap up the F100. I hope you enjoyed it. Be sure to come back next time.